From novels to books of poetry, all the way to those filled with spells and tales of the occult, this list is full of books to only add to your must-read list if you're feeling exceptionally daring. Here are the top 10 cursed books that might be written by the devil himself. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the Codex Gigas. This book is said to give the reader the ability to harness evil and negative energy, and is also often referred to as the Devil's Bible. The book was first discovered in 1648 and is massive at 36 inches tall, 20 inches wide, and 8.7 inches thick. And here's what's weird. It weighs 165 pounds. It is said that this book was actually written by a monk, but this monk had broken his spiritual vows. He was of course punished, but in a pretty extreme way, which was to be sealed behind a wall and then left there to die. Right before his passing, he realized he wouldn't be able to finish the book, which is when he summoned Lucifer and asked him to complete it for him. If I knew you could do that, I would have summoned Lucifer to finish all of my book reports in school. I guess I probably wouldn't have been cool with the whole selling your soul thing though. It is said that this book is filled with dark rituals, instructions on how to perform exorcisms, as well as a bunch of creepy drawings of the devil and other demons. Right now it is said that this book has 310 pages, but that it once used to be 320. The 10 pages that were ripped out were said to contain instructions on how someone could summon the devil, so hopefully whoever has those 10 pages destroyed them right away. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Untitled Grimoires. A witch's spell book should never be messed with, but I feel like that should be obvious, but I'll put that out there because apparently it isn't. The Untitled Grimoires are a set of handwritten spell books that were sold online for $1,400 in 2013. The books were written in the 1960s by a high priestess of Wicca who was the leader of a coven, and they detailed things like spells, incantations, enchantments, and instructions on summoning spirits and demons. So witch stuff. This is all fine and well unless you're sitting there thinking about how you don't believe. If you are a non-believer, it is best to stay as far away as possible from these books. The seller of the books warns that any non-believers who mess with the book will bring upon themselves a deadly curse, and on the first page, the Wiccan herself wrote that proceeding with the book may have serious consequences. It reads, quote, "To those not of the craft, the reading of this book is forbidden. Proceed no further or justice will exact a swift and terrible retribution, and you will surely suffer at the hand of the craft." It's a pretty sound warning, and one I probably wouldn't roll the dice on, just to be safe. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Picatrix. This is a grimoire that is said to contain a large amount of magic that is presumed to be from the 11th century. This text has long been considered pretty obscene because of the graphic content that exists within the book. The pages contain some scholarly work with philosophy, astrology, and even some medieval science, which is actually pretty cool. But then there are things like recipes for concoctions that involve mixing human and animal blood, brains, urine, and other bodily fluid in with opium or other kind of dangerous substances. While some of what this book contains is definitely historically interesting, I think it's probably best to stay away from the magic and spells that lurk within. In our number 7 spot today, we have the Grand Omar. This novel is an 11th century collection of poetry that was written by Omar Khayyam, but it's not what's inside of this book that holds the curse. In 1912, a bookbinder is said to have given this book lavish embellishments. There was silver, mahogany, ivory, leather, and over 1,050 jewels including ruby, garnet, topaz, turquoise, and gold. He took such care with this book that it actually took him 2 years to finish, and in 1912 is when he finished. Once finished, there was some trouble selling it. I mean, the book was extremely expensive now. The binder decided to ship it from the UK to the US for a chance to have an easier time selling it, but then there was a mix-up at customs and the book was shipped back to London. From here it is said that the book finally sold, but it was only for half the original price. The bookbinder once again had to ship the book overseas, but this time, guess which ocean liner the book ended up on? The ill-fated Titanic, of course. It is said that this original copy was never retrieved from the wreckage, but when the book was recreated, more strange things began to happen surrounding it. During World War II, it was said to be placed in a vault in London, but it ended up being ruined in a blitz. The vault itself was fine, but somehow the book inside, aside from the jewels, was completely turned to ash. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Book of the Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage. This book was of course created by Abramelin, who is indeed a mage, and he created it as a gift for his son. In the early 1900s, this book was translated into English, and that is when the rumors of the book being cursed began to spread. I mean, this book contained spells, but it also contained curses, so I feel like that rumor likely makes a lot of sense. It is said that this rumor has to do with Abramellin's belief that everyone has their own personal demon. I'm just hoping that mine is like cool and nice. Those who have had bad experiences with the book explained either bad luck or hauntings from the spirit world are what await for those who dare to read it. In our number 5 spot today we have the Grand Grimoire. This book is often referred to as the book with incredible power and has been called one of the darkest books in the world. While the author of this book is still unknown, the contents of it are things like black magic and dark spooky secrets. It is believed that the book was written sometime around 1521 and it is split into 2 books. Book 1 details instructions on how to summon a demon and how to get a demon to do your bidding. The second book is split into 2 parts and it details how to make a pact with a demon and how to command the spirit, but with less tools, which means it is significantly riskier than the instructions in the first book. Apparently in the book it even details how someone can call upon Lucifer or the devil, so I guess who needs those 10 missing pages in the Codex Gigas? Just go out and get the Grand Grimoire and you're right back in the devil summoning game. The book describes a few different demons and it also gives spells that one can do for things like winning the lottery, there's love spells, becoming invisible, you know, the things that people want. While those spells certainly sound nice, magic like that always comes at a cost. People fear the Grand Grimoire because they worry that if anyone reads it fully, then the devil will enslave their soul. No thank you. In our number 4 spot today we have the Book of Soyga. Anything that is referred to as the Book of Death is definitely one I'll most likely spend my time trying to stay away from. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that is the least inviting thing I've ever heard in my life. If you don't agree with me on that sentiment, however, the tough thing with this one is that nobody knows exactly what language it is written in. The beginning part of the book definitely contains some spells and incantations, but the ending of the book is really where the mystery lies, and trying to decipher it is no easy feat. It is said that a scholar called John Dee once attempted to decode the secret book, and it was so difficult that he needed to call on the angel Uriel for help. Even the angel didn't have the answers and instructed John to call on the archangel Michael, who would be the only one who was able to interpret the text. Here's where the mystery gets more mysterious though. After John Dee passed away in 1608, the book basically just vanished, and no one knew where it went. But then, like magic, it just reappears in the 19th century. Despite this extremely interesting story and how it kind of draws you in like you wish you could crack the code that the book holds, it's best to stay away from it because it is said whoever is able to decipher the ending of the book will inevitably die 2.5 years later. So is it really worth it? It's like a prequel to The Ring. In our number 3 spot today we have the Munich Manual. Also referred to as the Necromancer's Manual, this grimoire comes to us from the 15th century and is a text that is largely focused on demonology and necromancy. A lot of grimoires have both good and dark magic, but this is one that focuses solely on the dark black magic. There are 3 different sections to this one. The first section deals with illusionist magic and spells that trick people into seeing things that aren't there. The next is psychological magic, which is meant to use emotions, politics, and things like that in order to gain power over another individual, and if those 2 weren't scary enough, the third is divinatory spells, which are meant to allow the reader to see into the past, present, or future. One of the most well-known parts of this book is the part that includes instructions on how to make the Mirror of Lilith, which is for the purpose of the divination we just talked about. In our number 2 spot today we have the Lesser Key of Solomon. This is a grimoire that is said to be cursed. It is said to contain spells that are used for summoning over 72 different demons, and just to add a little air of mystery, no one is exactly sure who wrote it. This is because the book is made up of a few different texts that have been compiled from somewhere around the 17th century. This book is said to be so cursed that even having a copy of it will cause the owner to either experience constant bad luck or have the worst luck of all with passing away. People have shared their terrifying stories with the book, and they include the book's pages turning on their own, and another person shared that the book violently threw itself across the room at them. How terrifying would that be? While we aren't sure who wrote it, there have been rumors or stories that suggest it might have been King Solomon. It is said that perhaps he wrote it for his son and then asked him to bury it with him in his grave. When being prepared for burial, a group of Babylonian philosophers found the book, and this is when they were visited by an angel who told them to hide the book from the unworthy. They then placed a spell on the book which was meant to keep it from getting into the wrong hands, and that is said to be how the book got its curse. In our number 1 spot today we have the Orphan story story. This is a book that was originally written in the 1600s, but it didn't end up getting published until 2018. The Orphan story is about a 14-year-old Spanish boy who heads to the Americas. It's supposed to be like a classic coming-of-age feel-good story, but it is not exactly, and that is exactly the reason why it took so long for it to be published. The curse in this book doesn't come from the story itself, however. There is something dark lurking in those pages. The book's publisher, Belinda Palacios, who worked on the book for 2 years, explained that throughout the years she was often warned of the cursed book and how every publisher who had tried to work on it before ended up passing away in a mysterious way before they were able to finish the book. When Belinda looked into this, it turned out to be true. Her research showed that those who tried to edit the book before either found themselves in horrible accidents or with strange illnesses. Luckily, Belinda somehow made it through the process unscathed, so let's hope that maybe the curse has been lifted. Either way, I don't think I'm gonna read this one. I don't know. You know, it's up to you though. If you want to, go ahead and let us all know. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlovsky, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!